build upon it themselves. Interest, compound interest. Those are the two words. Drop those in the chat for me because I do have another short video. And what excites me is some of us hear this term, this concept of compound interest, and immediately we start thinking about money. And that's good. That's good because believe it or not, 2025, I feel like that's the year some of us is going to make money, a lot of money. But I've come to share with you guys that believe it or not, most of us don't have a money making problem. But most people know how to make money. You get a job, the job pays you. You can work overtime. Most people have no problem with making money. The problem is keeping the money, saving the money, investing the money, using the money. And so when I think about this compound interest phrase term, I get excited because believe it or not, it applies to a lot of different areas in our life. But what we're going to do, I'll play this short video, but I want you to think to yourself just real quick, what does compound interest mean to you? Yeah, and I say that because it's so easy for us to hear stuff. But what I want you to start doing is when you hear stuff, I want you to start thinking about what you're thinking about. Yeah, I say it again because the way this thing works, this personal development, like again, if we're just being honest and transparent, this personal development is for our growth. And our growth happens like in our brain. So you can say all the right stuff out loud to me. You can say all the right stuff out loud to the community. But the truth is, until you say the right stuff in your own head, it's not going to fully take effect. And so think to yourself, what does compound interest mean to me? Because what happens is throughout the next 10 to 15 minutes while we're on this call, if your perspective of compound interest changes, that means you learned something. That means you can apply something. That means you grew a little bit. If it stays the same, either you already knew it or we wasted our time. Amen? And so think to yourself, compound interest, while I play this short video for us.
Won the Grammy for Songwriter of the Year. It's a good friend of ours, him and his wife, Veda. Their kids, they live in Atlanta, so we spend a lot of time with them. And he was over the other night. We had a nice party over there. Everybody was there. Good times. It was Camille's birthday, and you know what I'm saying, the whole nine. But anyway, we just got to talking like after we had fun and was playing games and stuff like that. We got to talking, and he was like, "See, like man, like everything I'm writing now." You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he wrote, and by the way, when I say Songwriter of the Year for the Grammys, I don't mean like the hip hop songwriter, R&B song. He won Songwriter of the Year. Mm-hmm. And so he wrote records for Beyonce, Rihanna, Lotto, Sweetie. Like he just write every song you hear on the radio the last few years, he done had something to do with. And I told him, I was like, now, first of all, he said he writing K-pop records. So he'd been flying to Korea, back and forth to Korea. And I don't know if y'all know what K-pop is. Korean pop.
For real. Okay.
Yeah. So he was like, bruh, I realized that there are 4 billion people in China. I mean, in Asia. He was like, it's only 250 million or something, or 350 million.
So guys, real quick, I just want to pause it right there for my entrepreneurs because I told you guys before, but sometimes it helps. This is what helps me. Listening to all these different podcasts, reading all these different books because it puts stuff in perspective for me. Some of us are stressed because in our city that we're in, Philadelphia, York, Harrisburg, Lancaster, the city that you're in, it's like, man, the people don't like my product. I ain't making as much as I want to make. And I've been telling you guys, what if it ain't that city or that county? What if you was called for more? And some of us can't see more, but he just clearly explained it. Asia has 4 billion people. The United States has what, 350 million. So just by proximity, there are more people in the world than the people that are in your neighborhood, that are in your block, that are in your city, that are in your county, that you've been trying to sell to, that you've been trying to make clients, that you've been trying to work with. There are more people in the world. Do me a favor, just right now, just type, there are more. There are more people. I know your relationship didn't work. There are more people. I know that church didn't work. There are more churches. That gym didn't work. There are more gyms. That client didn't work. There are more people. But what happens is we trick our brains and the people that we know, we say, oh, this is everybody. There are more people.
In the U.S., you know what I'm saying? And he was like, if I go over there, so he been writing these like K-pop records, and I was like, yo, that's crazy. And these records like the fastest growing records in like Spotify history and like just going crazy. And he was like, yo, it's weird because he like everything now is like, I used to like one out of every, however many would go. He was like, they all just going now. And what I was trying to tell him is, I was like, yo, you know how compound interest works. And I was like,
yep, there goes that word. So go ahead and throw that in the chat again. You guys know we got to say, see, or hear something 7 times in order for us to remember. So we're only at 1 or 2. Throw that in the chat. Compound interest. Yeah, I like this because we're about to. I want to explain to you guys how compound interest works. I want to make sure that you guys get it because I know some of you guys understand the concept of compound interest. But one reason I don't like just putting all my money in banks is because you put $100 in the bank and in 3 months your account says $100.03. You got compound interest, but there are certain things that you can do to get more. Right? We'll talk about that in a second. But just type compound interest, compound interest, compound interest. Yeah, come on, just type it again. Type it again. Those of us that are tech savvy, you probably already copied it. All you got to do is copy and paste. Compound interest.
Essentially, you put 100,000 in the bank, we'll just use a round number. And what happens is next year, if you compounded at 10%, next year you got 110. I was like, that next year, without doing anything, just continuing on the path and being consistent, you're now compounding not off that 100, but off of that 110. And so,
all right, so real quick, guys, I want to make sure that makes sense to everybody. Yeah, just real quick, I want to make sure that makes sense. If you've been investing, this is why I had you guys drop the month that you started earlier. If you've been seriously investing in yourself and your personal development since July, since August, since March, since September, guess what happens? Right now, your residual, you've already built it. Remember, guys, just 1%. So if every day you've actually been getting 1% better since March, that's 9 months ago. That's 270 days ago. That's a 270% return. That's how compound interest works, right? If you, since September, October, November, December, that's 90% return. Like every day, that's why I said, it's not about trying to get to the big thing. If every day you can do 1%, the way compound interest works, now that we're at December, guess what? Now we get to see how much we actually invested. Does that make sense?
compounding off of the work you was doing when you and your brother was like coming in up in our city and all of this other stuff. Now you're compounding off songwriter of the year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you look at success, and what I'm trying to say is like, when I look at what we're doing, I think we look for these outrageous jumps. Like compound interest is really about consistency, and I'll throw it to Maul because he's our resident financial expert. But I'm saying compound interest don't say you need to put another 100,000 in there. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, and then another 100, and then no, that's not how compound interest works. Compound interest works off of putting in the deposit and then allowing it to grow. But what I told them was the reason that a lot of people are in the exact same spot this year to next year is they spend the interest. Does that make sense?
That make a lot of sense.
So when you do what you're supposed to do with your health for 6 months and put that in there.
Okay, hold on, guys, because I was watching this earlier and I was like, ooh, there's some people that ain't gonna like this part. When I heard this part, I can't lie to you guys. I was like, ooh, yeah, they talking about you. They are. Just let's just get it clear. Don't think to yourself like, ooh, they are 100% talking about you. They're talking about me too. Right? We'll grind for 4 days in the week, and then Friday comes, we take Saturday and Sunday off, and then Monday we pop back up like, yeah, man, I've been grinding. I was just tired a little bit, but I'm back. And I'm like, hold on. You can't go hard for 6 months in the gym, take 3 months off, and then at the end of the year, you're not where you want to be. You took time off. You took days off. Like there ain't no shortcut. And that's what we got as a community, we got to start understanding. That's why every day I say every day is important. Hit up your accountability partner. Every day matters. Because when you compound the interest, when you continuously add these things up, little things add up to big things. But some of us, we just waiting for that big thing to come. And then when that doesn't come, that's when the frustration kicks in. All right, come on, let's finish this video.
Instead of staying consistent and letting it compound, you eating crazy and spending your interest. So now you done had 3 months where you done backslid and you eating crazy and whatever. And now you look up a year later and you like, yo, I might be in the same place, or really how it works with inflation is really worth less. You're really worse off than you were a year ago if you're the same. Does that make
All right, so again, real quick, I watched this guy plenty of times, guys. So I was taking notes as I was watching, so you guys can get something out of this too. Do me a favor in the chat, just type personal development. Yeah, just type personal development. And this is a way that I want you guys to explain it to yourselves. This is the way I want you to explain it to your friends and to your family. Yep, personal development. Because I know for a fact that I asked you guys to invite people, and some of us have. You can't force people to get on here every day, but you can invite people, and I'm really thankful for that. But this is why personal development is so serious. Come on, I'm in the chat. I'm looking for you in the chat. This is why personal development. Are you guys still here with me? This is why personal development is so important. Because the way this thing works, if you stay the same, you actually get worse. Yeah, I'll say it again. With inflation, with the way this thing works, if you stay the same, you actually get worse. Yeah. They're about to explain it, but I just want you to think about that. This is why personal development, this is why improving your faith, improving your fitness, improving your family, improving your fight. This is why it's important. Because if you stay the same, come on, you're actually getting worse. So the people that you invited, and it's like, I don't know if I need that. It's like, okay, it's cool, but hey, the last thing I would want is for you to stay the same, because if you stay the same, you're actually getting worse. Yeah, I know getting up in the morning, you ain't never did that and you're 40, 50 years old, but you only got to this level. What if getting up 30 minutes earlier put you to the next level? I know you've never done it, but if you stay the same, guess what happens? Yep, personal development. It's important. It's important.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Eggs was $2.99 last year, they $3.99 this year. So really, if you're doing nothing and staying stagnant like that, you're really getting worse. And so what I was saying was, if we really approach success like that, right? Like when I look at what we did, people always used to be like, yo, y'all touring in Australia, that must feel crazy. I used to be like, not really, because it's compound interest. So before we were touring in Australia, we were at Michigan State and people was loving us there. And we were making a difference there. And then it was like the Big Ten, Indiana, Purdue, Northwestern. They was like, yo, can you come do this here? And we was like, bet. We went and did it there. Then E-Video started blowing up in the States. Then we started blowing up and getting orders from
Australia.
Bro, it was like Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, New Zealand. We was like, what? So we shipping books. Now, we so stupid, we didn't even realize the book was $20, the shipping was $100, and we was doing free shipping at the time. We was like, oh, okay, hold on, there's something going wrong. But again, we're selling books out there. So after we're selling books out there, he started doing Zooms for Glenn and his community in Australia. So by the time we got to Australia, that was just compound interest off of what we had been doing. So compound interest ain't nothing really sexy in terms of like, ooh, you look at it every day and it's like, oh, but it's like, it's just over time.
It's sexy.
Okay, cool. But to the average person who doesn't understand it, it wouldn't look sexy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when I looked up and we were in Australia touring, I didn't feel like, oh, we just put another 200,000 in. I felt like this was compound interest off of what we had. And in 2025, I want you to help people understand that the consistency model, although not the sexiest model, right? Because I think there's this illusion.
And this is what I love, because this is what we preach here in Change University. Come on, you guys still here with me? This is what we preach here. I'm not trying to get you guys to be an overnight millionaire. If you want to do that, go buy some lottery tickets. I want to set us up for sustained success. And the only way to sustain this, he just said it, the consistency model. So do me a favor. I know I've been having you guys type a lot. I just got to make sure you guys ain't going to sleep on me. Just type consistency. Yep, consistency. Yeah, I haven't heard any successful person not mention consistency. Yeah, as in, you ain't going to be able to do it today, not like it tomorrow, and quit, start something else and think you're going to be successful. Like there's going to be days you're questioning yourself. You're going to go through a range of emotions, but the goal is to stay consistent. Go ahead, type that, consistency. Yeah, consistency. Yep, good.
Like, yo, I'm about to drop this product and I'm out of here and it's going to change my financial life forever. And I'm going next year, and you come in with these expectations. And when you don't see it, then you spend the interest because you like, it ain't working. No. Won the Grammy for Songwriter of the Year. It's a good friend.
Because that's the biggest thing right there. That's the biggest thing. He said that I was like, okay, I got to take this to the community. When he said what happens is, some of us are probably in this boat, but we end up spending the interest. Yep. But think about it. You save all this money, You invest all this, and then you end up spending everything that you invested. So as you guys know, I like tangible takeaways. I want stuff to be applicable for you today. So if I was talking about you, if the podcast was talking about you, that's why I put the podcast so you guys can't be like, oh, TP was talking about me. It was them. But if they was talking about you, if they were stepping on your toes, if the shoe fits, now it's time to be honest about it so we can make the change. So watch this. The first thing I want you to say to yourself, the first thing that we have to start doing, I want us to start manufacturing small wins. Believe it or not, getting a win sounds hard, but he just explained how compound interest works. They started doing videos, and from the videos, people in Australia, how does your videos get to Australia? They didn't know. All they knew is people in Australia was writing it. So guess what? Compound interest. We started selling our books to Australia. They liked the book so much that they wanted us to start doing a community Zoom. Guess what? We started doing it's a compound interest. But what happens is they manufactured a small win. And from that small win, another small win. And our life is the same way. I want to make this tangible for you guys. Number one, start creating some small wins. And when you're able to create a small win in your fitness, just going to the gym. Guess what happens? The next day, if you just go, now we're on the treadmill. The next day, we're on the treadmill and we're doing resistance. The next day, we're doing the treadmill, resistance, and strength. The next day, our friend comes with us. The next day, and then we look back a month later and it's like, man, we've been going to the gym for 3 weeks. Compound interest. My question for you today, what areas can you begin to manufacture wins in? Yep. I know what it feels like to feel like you're losing in life. It's hard to be motivated when you feel like you're losing. But guess what? The secret sauce is you can start manufacturing your own small victories. Yep. So if you're an entrepreneur, I just need one or two sales a day. And then you get 1 or 2 sales a day, and you get 1 or 2 sales tomorrow, and you get 1 or 2 sales the next day. You look up and guess what? This week we had 20 sales. You entered the week with the goal of 20 sales, and every day you didn't do anything. No, what's the small win you can get today? In your fitness, can you just work out? In your family, can we just hang out? In your finances, can you find a way to make $100 a day? Well, what's the small win you can manufacture? Because the small wins is how we start to build up the momentum. So then the deposit is bigger, because the bigger the deposit, the bigger the withdrawal, right? The more that can compound. So what small win can you get? Number two, every day I add a deposit. Life will make the interest. Yeah. Your only job is the deposit. Again, compound interest isn't I'm going to make a big deposit of 100,000 today, and then next month I'm going to deposit another 100,000. That's not what compound interest looks like. Compound interest says you make the deposit, and what you deposit, it grows. The part that I like is because we control what we can control, not only will what I deposit grow, but each day I will add a 1% deposit to that. Yep, somebody just called it. I make the deposit, but life will add the interest. If I go to the gym every day, my body would do what it should do. If I pray every day, my faith should do what it should do. If I make smart financial decisions, my money should do your money. It'll take care of itself. Just make the deposit. Yeah, come on. I got 2 more for you because I know the time. This one's a question for you, but the question is, have you spent the interest? Yeah, somebody's like, shoot, I didn't think he was going to talk about this one. Have you spent the interest? I know some of us have been investing. Some of us have been going hard, and they said it right there on that video. What happens is you go to the gym and you kill it for 6 months. And then because you killed it for 6 months, because you started to see the change you wanted to see, the next 3 months you fall off. And because you fall off the next 3 months, it's like, shoot, Q4's here. I got to kick it in for Q4. And when you go to kick it in for Q4, the year ends and you don't see the results that you want to see because of those 3 months that you took off instead of just staying consistent. Yeah, come on, I've seen it. Businesses, you ain't make the money you're supposed to make, so you take this profit and you do X, Y, and Z with it, and then when you need that profit for your business, it ain't there, and now your business is failing because of the money. Yeah, I know. It's hard. It sucks to say, but have you spent the interest? The stuff that you invested and the residuals you would get from it, have you spent it? Yeah, and then the last one, guys, the last takeaway I have for us, and I'll throw these into the chat. But the last takeaway I have for us is a compound interest formula. Because the one biggest thing that they didn't talk about when we talk about compound interest, The formula is investment, right? The thing that you invest. But the biggest thing with compound interest is time. Believe it or not, what happens is some of us, we don't give it enough time to mature. Yeah, you invest $100,000, and then next year, in your mind, you should be getting a million back. And then when next year rolls around and it's only 110,000, now it's like, oh, this isn't working. Now you're ready to quit. You haven't even put enough time in. I really want you to think about this, guys, because what happens is we hear about all these different investors and all this different stuff. Angel investors, people in Silicon Valley in California, believe it or not, the average time to get your investment back is 4 to 6 years. So I know we hear, oh, Jay-Z invested, oh, these Kobe Bryant invested, these athletes invested, and they made all this money back. Believe it or not, they didn't invest today, go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, and boom, they made the money. It's 4 or 5 years. And people keep telling me that they was going hard for a month. They was going hard for 3 months. Some of us can't even make a week. I don't know if you guys know how long this thing takes or not. That's why I just said take the date off of it. So when we talk about compound interest, have you put enough time in? What have you invested? How much time have you put in to watch it grow? Because the thing I love about compound interest, if you make the investment, the rest will take care of itself. Yep, the rest will take care of itself. And so as we close out this day, what I want you guys to be cognizant of, what I want you guys to think about, to put in the forefront of your brain is the thought, what am I compounding? What have I invested? Because some of us, we know that we made an initial investment, but when we invested in July, we weren't really serious about it. In September, we only put $100 instead of $1,000 investment. But we're ready to up our investment. We're ready for compound interest to take over in our faith, in our family, in our fitness. We're ready. But the question for you guys as we answer today is what are you willing to invest? Yeah, so do me a favor as I close this thing out with prayer. Just jump back in the chat one more time. Let me make sure you guys are still here. Last time, just type compound interest, compound interest. I hope we got it by now, but I know we got to see something 5 to 7 times. Yep, compound interest, compound interest, compound interest.